I did not have a chance to watch Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech. I was on a video conference with our European partners with respect to Ukraine. I did have a chance to take a look at the transcript. As far as I can tell, there was nothing new.
All right. One man who did not only see the speech, he was there. He was in the right next to Mrs. Netanyahu. I envied his positioning so much. We welcome in Alan Dershowitz, of course, legendary Harvard Law School professor, Newsmax contributor, author of Terror Tunnels, The Case for Israel's Just War Against Hamas. There it is on your screen. Hello, Alan.
Hi, how are you? I wish the president had been there or listened or at least read the speech carefully. If he had, he would see that Prime Minister Netanyahu made a dramatic new proposal for a compromise resolution. He put on the table a new plan and a new idea, and the president has not responded to it. The new idea is this. Look, he said if world leaders can't agree as a precondition to signing the deal that Iran give up its terrorism and its aims to destroy Israel, at the very least that should be a precondition for ending the deal. That is, the sunset provision, which gives Iran the opportunity to develop nuclear weapons, should not come into effect until Iran satisfies three conditions, namely stops being the world's greatest exporter of terrorism, stops intruding into other countries like Syria and Lebanon, and stops calling for the destruction of the nation state of the Jewish people. If Iran doesn't do that, then the sunset provision doesn't kick in, and the agreement continues. What's wrong with that idea, number one? Number two, it's a new idea, and the president is misleading the American public by saying there was nothing new. It's just showing that he didn't do his homework. He didn't read the speech carefully, or else he read it and he just misinterprets it.
Yeah, all right. Now, I got another thing for you. Fox News last night, I was really amazed. Charles Krauthammer stuck up and called this almost libelous. George Will and some others on the panel were talking about how the goal of the Netanyahu speech was to get the United States to go to war against Iran. And Krauthammer said that's libelous. I think that's outrageous that they would come up with that scenario.
Well, he said exactly the opposite. If you just listen to Netanyahu, he said the alternative to this deal is not war. He never once called for war. He never once called for a military attack. He said the alternative to a bad deal is a good deal, and he laid out what a good deal would be. He said, this is a deal we could live with, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Even though we don't love it.
But Alan, I think what Charles Krauthammer, pardon me for interrupting, I think what Krauthammer was alluding to was, he almost could have said blood libel or canard or something, because that's how I view it when people start saying already that, once again, Israel and the Jews want to take us to war. I was shocked to see that from Will and Fox, and good for Krauthammer for calling it libelous.
Yeah, you know, it's not the first libel. People have also said that it was the Jews in Israel that drove the United States into the Iraq War. They forget that the Prime Minister of Israel, the person who speaks for Israel, Ariel Sharon, warned George W. Bush not to invade Iraq, not to occupy Iraq. He said it would cause the kind of disaster that we've now seen with the Shia takeover and Iran essentially taking over Iraq. So don't blame Israel for America's actions or America's mistakes, and don't blame Israel for getting the United States into wars. Israel didn't get the United States into Vietnam. It didn't get the United States into Afghanistan. It didn't get the United States into Iraq. Right. Israel fights its own wars to defend its own borders.
All right, let me ask you, Alan, just breaking today on the heels of this Ferguson report from the Justice Department about the police force, no charges to be filed against Darren Wilson, the police officer who killed Michael Brown. Are you surprised at all?
Not surprised, and I think it's the right decision. Certainly as to the first shots that were fired, they were shots after the young man went for the gun of the police officer. The shots were fired from the police car, and they were completely justified. And in order to file charges, you have to show that the police officer was motivated by a racial animus. There was just no evidence of that. He would have done the same thing under the same circumstances if the young man had been white or black.
Very quickly, Alan.
Make up these.
Well, I'm sorry again because of time constraints. I want to get your answer. We have 30 seconds. You recall that Holder the other day said we need to lower the standards for civil rights violations. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think we have to keep them high, and we have to make sure that the states prosecute regular crimes and the federal government only prosecutes crimes that you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt were racially motivated.
Great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Likewise. Thank you.
Take care. Alan Dershowitz, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, no surprise, and I'm glad he explained it perfectly. And on all counts, Netanyahu, the claim that Israel wants the United States to go to war with Iran, which I think is outrageous and libelous, as Charles Krauthammer alluded to. We're coming back with the Closing Bell Report.